Hey, welcome back to Sparking Innovation. This is a podcast from Provisio, the largest Salesforce implementation partner solely for human services. I'm Tom Moran, here to inspire nonprofits and government agencies to drive change in their communities by embracing change in their organizations. In this episode, we're excited for it's all about state and local governments and what they can do to best position themselves for the future, especially regarding AI. And it's a critical moment right now for the public sector, right? I mean, government services are often regarded as slow and inefficient, we know, think of red tape, but major jumps in CRM technology, whether that's just standard Salesforce outcomes or, new stuff like the advent of Agentic AI like Agentforce, are opening a window of opportunity for governments to flip the script once and for all on that narrative. So by investing in comprehensive data strategy and legacy system modernization and artificial intelligence, of course, governments can foster a new reputation for delivering effective services quickly and easily, believe it or not. So that is, again, if they have the right technology partner by their side to guide them, like Provisio. So today we're digging into public sector technology trends with two guests who have deep experience in state and local government. First is Provisio Chief Operating Officer Kim Collins. Kim was the Chief of Staff at the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families and was a project manager with the Illinois Governor's Office focused on early childhood. And we also have Nadia Hansen from Salesforce. She's a global digital transformation executive for public sector there. And prior to that, she was the Chief Information Officer in Clark County, Nevada, which is home to Las Vegas. So Nadia and Kim, thank you so much for joining the pod.
Thanks, Tom.
So Nadia, let's start with you. Your job at Salesforce is to help drive digital transformation in governments. And you have this unique perspective on that because you actually, again, served as the CIO for Clark County, Nevada, the state's largest county. So how did your experience overseeing all of IT in Clark County shape your approach to how you actually advise on innovation now in the public sector?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So, being CIO for Clark County, which for people who don't know how big Clark County is, it's one of the largest local governments in the country. It has an $8 billion with a B dollar budget. It has 38 departments, 10,000 employees, serving 2.4 million residents. And it really gave me a firsthand insight into all the unique challenges public sector leaders face, whether it has to do with budget constraints, whether it has to do with regulatory requirements. There's a new fire drill every day just based on proactive citizen services. And there's really a need to serve a diverse population that all require innovative yet agile and practical technology solutions. And, that really served and kind of shapes my approach at Salesforce. I focused a lot on use cases that balance innovation with usability and ensuring that we integrate seamlessly with legacy systems while really driving real outcomes for residents.
Yeah, that's, I'm sure, incredibly helpful having that background, doing what you're doing now. And so this question is actually for both of you. So Salesforce has played a pivotal role, of course, in transforming government service delivery for housing and workforce development and way beyond. So Kim, as a leader at a major Salesforce implementation partner for human services, could you share a specific use case or a client success story that really highlights how impactful Salesforce is for government?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So back in 2020, when COVID was starting and states were reporting regularly the number of cases of COVID and having daily press releases and stand-ups and all of those things, the state of Illinois' website was crashing every single day. And we couldn't keep the number of cases up to date, and people just couldn't leverage it. And so we heard from the state they wanted to leverage Salesforce. They knew the platform was reliable and something that could expand with them and manage the flow of people that were on the site every day. And so we partnered with Salesforce and the state of Illinois to re-platform that entire website onto an Experience Cloud, kept it up to date for months and months, updated it with maps and where people could get vaccines and the latest information using the best technology. And it was incredibly effective, and it really served the people of Illinois really well.
Yeah, that's like some, major actual human impact on something that you were involved with. That's, I'm sure, very, satisfying on the back end to see that, particularly during such a tumultuous time, right? Nadia, what about you? Could you share a great public sector success story from your time at Salesforce? I mean, what were the challenges that maybe that agency had before, and how did they get solved by some new technology once you had intervened?
So I have a funny and probably embarrassing story that I want to start with. So, when I was working at Clark County, we knew about Salesforce. We're like, cool, it's a customer relationship management platform. Great. But we had no idea what a platform can do, right? So I think I would like to start with that. And one of the things that I quickly learned when I joined Salesforce is this can be a digital front door to all kinds of services in government, whether it has to do with health and human services, whether it's transportation, whether it is just doing intake and resolution and providing that C360 status, whether it's from an employee perspective, whether it's for residents, whether it's for constituents. So that's one of the things I love to talk about is, what we didn't, and I didn't realize working as an employee in a city county government is, digital front door to services is this is literally our rinse and repeat, our bread and butter, what we're really, really good at. And what I mean by that is we have customers all the way from Department of Veterans Affairs, Homeland Security, maybe some 3-letter agencies that I can't name. So the security, the trust aspect is there, but all the way down to 45 of the 50 states that we're in, and then to localities, whether it has to do with City of LA, whether it's New York City, or some of the big logos around City of Chicago as an example. I want to double click on digital front door. So I feel when I was working in county government, one of the biggest issues we had is when a constituent comes in looking for a service, what we were doing is providing them with 40,000 pages of websites where you have to go and dig the service that you're looking for, go find the department, and then go find the service. A lot of residents don't really know if I'm trying to just pay my tax bill, do I go to the assessor's office or do I go to the treasurer's office? If I want to pay my license, do I have to go to the Department of Licenses website and then try to find how to pay it? And then do I need to create a login? So essentially what I'm really trying to say is how great would it be if I was, as an example, John A. Smith, and John A. Smith comes into the city, county, or state agency for, I'm applying for a permit. I also want to renew my license. Oh, and by the way, I just want to pay my property tax. So I'm a resident and a business owner, and I'm trying to get maybe a benefit out of my government. How easy would it be if I got a personalized service that knows me if I decide to opt in as a resident, that knows me and just provides me the 3 things that I want to interact with the county government for? So really what I'm seeing is the power of the platform is around having an Airbnb, an Uber, an Amazon type experience, which people are already used to, but why can't government operate that way as well? So I just like to kind of point out, this is one of the biggest use cases that I'm seeing all across government where people are like, let's start with that personalized journey for our residents, for our constituents, for our visitors to make seamless interactions with government.
Yeah, I mean, talk about streamlining of services. That's incredible, right? So moving on now, each year the NASCIO, which is let me get this right, the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, surveys state CIOs to identify top technology challenges. And topping the list this year are cybersecurity, AI, digital services, data management and analytics, and finally, legacy modernization. Those are the top 5. So Kim, how is Provisio helping public sector clients tackle those priorities in particular?
Yeah. I mean, Nadia hit the nail on the head with the digital front door, right? So many organizations and government agencies have so much data on so many of their residents and their constituents, right? And like Nadia said, they're entering it 40 different times in 40 different systems. And so the real power there is in the data, right? And bringing all of that information together. And so we're partnering with state and local governments to really take a look at their data, right? And understand what we can work together on to make that seamless experience for the constituents so that they don't have to enter their social security number, their address, or their phone number, or tell their story time and time again on platform after platform after platform. They can do it in one place, in one digital front door where they enter it once and it goes to the different areas that they need within Salesforce so that the individuals working with them within city or county or state government have the information that they need. And it's easier for the residents, right? That's it's hard to fill out all those forms. And so how can we make it easier? And how can we partner with government to make it more efficient and easier for everybody that's trying to get the services that they need?
Mm-hmm. And Nadia, AI and machine learning and robotic process automation, again, have climbed to number 2 on this year's NASCIO list. But of course, adoption is very daunting. So if a government agency is just beginning its AI journey, where should it start? And what are the most immediate opportunities for AI to cut through bureaucracy and government red tape to deliver impact right away?
Kim called it. She double-clicked on data. So as Kim said, there's petabytes of data in government, and honestly, everything is being treated in a siloed kind of approach. So I would start with, and one of the things we always talk about is have an AI playbook. We already have one that's on our website. You can go and download it, take a look at it, but I'll just summarize it for you. So it really starts with, here's my strategic priorities from an organizational perspective, and then kind of take it one level down. Do you have an AI strategy, and do you have a data governance strategy? That is like step number 1. And then once you figure out, okay, this is the strategy, which that means is, do you have the right people at the table? Do you have legal involved? Do you have procurement? Do you have business leaders? Do you have IT? Sometimes I hear customers talk about, well, this is an IT issue. IT is going to figure it out. Kind of. The technology part is the easy part because everybody can help on the technology portion of it. Where we struggle with is people and process. So let's bring the people together as part of it, because you need sponsorship from your executive leaders. You need sponsorship from your departments. You need to build that trust internally. So that's step number 1, is kind of building a governance strategy. Step 2 is around, what is the outcome that we're trying to solve? Often I hear from a lot of leaders saying, well, we have to implement AI. That's great. But if you don't know what you're trying to solve, how are you going to measure it? And how you're going to be able to expand on it later on. So I always go back to, what is a manual, repetitive, risk-averse use case that you can start with? Super easy, something that is going to bring that direct impact, Tom, that you mentioned, and kind of help you get that sponsorship and that trust, that credibility to be able to expand from there. A basic example I'll give is, every time you go to an agency's website, there will be a chatbot. And the chatbot just takes a look at your frequently asked questions or wherever that data is pulling from, and it'll spit out an answer. Sometimes that answer is not quite what you're looking for, so you give up and you start calling and you start emailing. Maybe that is the first baby step to take a look at. It's something very risk-averse where you're not going to show up in a newspaper, because we're coming from a public center entity myself. We were very, very big on today's goal is let's not show up in the newspaper, right? So I think kind of starting with that, but also showing some innovation along the way, it really helps build that credibility and trust with your constituents.
So speaking of chatbots, Agentforce is not a chatbot, and we'll get into that in a second. We've talked about Agentforce quite a lot in sparking innovation, and I think that there might be a misconception among people who might hear of it at first, like, isn't that just a chatbot? It's like, no, it's not. Can you break down how it works, what sets agentic AI like Agentforce apart from traditional chatbots, and, why it works for government in that way?
Yeah, my favorite way to describe agents, which, we're not new in the AI era. We've been doing AI for 10 plus years. It started with predictive analysis, and then it moved into more of generative, and now we're talking about agents. So just to clarify and make it very simple, I look at agents as they're autonomous digital buddies that go way beyond traditional chatbots. So traditional chatbots, they just answer the question. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It just answers the question. It's very tactical in some ways. Autonomous agents are more around having some deductive reasoning. There is a conversation. If I don't really know quite what you're looking or what the answer that you're looking for, I can ask you a question back. Whether it has to do with, let's say, processing a permit, whether it is scheduling inspection, whether it is helping residents access benefits. That is what agents can be used for. What really sets us apart, and what really sets us apart is the ability to take action across multiple systems. You're pulling in data in real time, and then you're driving personalizations and efficient service delivery. So it's a really huge shift from what we're used to reactive government to proactive government, using AI to power the services.
And Kim, what excites you most about Agentforce for public sector clients that you might be dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, what's so cool is the proactive piece about it, right? That ability to really work with a constituent and get to their answers. The asking of questions. Everybody looks at the bots, right? And they're like, gosh, I'm going to ask my question. It's going to give me some lame answer. Actually being able to get a service from an agent is incredible. And at no point is someone going to a city, county website so excited about, whatever they're looking for, right? It's something that they have to do as a part of their job or their life or whatever that is. So by giving them a great experience and making it way more user-friendly using the agents is just so exciting.
Yeah.
I agree.
And we're already seeing how AI is, transforming government operations from streamlining processes and to enhancing service delivery. Nadia, could you share some compelling real-world use cases where AI is making a difference right now, maybe with Agentforce or elsewhere as well?
Sure thing. My favorite example is one of the cities in the U.S. I'll call it Midwest. They did a survey with all their residents, and they realized that most of our residents are very tech-centric. So, and they really want to interact with their government digitally. So really understanding your residents is number one. And what they did was they decided, okay, you know what? A lot of these residents want to use Alexa as a way to create a record into the government system without me calling. So I would say, hey, Alexa, there's a pothole that I want to report. Can you create a ticket for me? The resident doesn't have to know which entity to go to, what department to go to. It automatically creates a record in Salesforce and then triages, does the liaison part of it to route it to the right department. Imagine how much time you're saving with one, making it easy for the residents to be able to interact with you, and two, not having somebody in the middle to figure out, this is where it has to go in terms of what department do I go to? Do I have a liaison to do that? We're talking about full-time jobs. I do want to make a point here that AI is not going to take your job. It's all about augmentation, right? And I really want, especially because a lot of government agencies are unionized, I think the education portion of it is very, very critical. And what I mean by that is kind of making sure that we are educating and upskilling our employees so they understand how to augment it into day-to-day work. I mean, I personally use AI every single day, whether it has to do with doing a recap of all my 800 emails, whether it has to do with providing key actionable takeaways from meetings. So use it for yourself first to get comfortable with it, and then try to use it for a use case where you can bring multiple stakeholders to also feel comfortable with it. So I feel like that's one of my biggest examples. Another one I want to share is I'm seeing it a lot around grants management or health and human services like benefits administration. Imagine a guided, navigated path for you based on what you need for a certain benefit, whether it's rental assistance, whether it's short-term housing, whatever that might be. You don't know which department to go to unless you have worked for government. Do I go to social services? Do I go to family services? Do I go to a different department? So I really feel that we can utilize artificial intelligence to reduce wait times. We're talking from weeks to minutes. And then looking ahead, the potential is even bigger. Imagine predictive analytics to prevent some of these service disruptions. We were talking about cybersecurity earlier before we started the conversation. Imagine if you're able to interact with all the different agencies when there is a cyber threat. We're talking about predictive modeling. We're talking about deeper personalization when it comes to citizen services. So I'm personally very excited. I feel like this is a revolution that we're in. I think we just have to embrace it, but we have to be aware of all the risks and kind of mitigate those risks as we go along.
Sure. Yeah, that use case you talked about reporting the pothole. It's like, as a constituent, I could see myself just not bothering because I don't want to go figure out where I have to go do that. It's like, do I really care about the pothole that much? Do I want to spend 20 minutes navigating that? Like, maybe I would report it if there was, an Agentforce spot or something like that. So, Where do you see AI going in 5 to 10 years for government?
Honestly, I feel we are moving so fast. I mean, imagine about a year and a half ago, nobody used the word AI until ChatGPT came about. And now everybody's using it. And why is that? I think there is a one point of instant gratification, and two, it's really giving me the answer I'm looking for without me having to dig through multiple websites. So I feel where government is going to be at is when I do see more policy around it. I'm seeing more regulation. I'm seeing more discussions and kind of how do we go about bias when it comes to AI, kind of making sure some of those risks are mitigated. So I feel there is definitely an adoption factor, but kind of clarifying what risks pertain to my agency, whether it has to do with CGIS data, whether it has to do with HIPAA data, whether it has to do with other regulations, kind of addressing that up front is going to be important because the next 5 years is going to look completely different than today. As an example, I was in San Francisco last week, and honestly, I didn't even think twice. I ordered a Waymo, which is an autonomous car. If you've ever been to San Francisco, you have to try it. And I got in this car with nobody driving it, and I was extremely comfortable. This is the era that we're in. So I feel we just have to kind of embrace it. But the next 5 years is going to look completely different. Honestly, a lot of us don't even know what that would look like because it's moving so incredibly fast.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, helping people embrace AI, I think that conversations like these are very helpful for people, right? It can be kind of a scary thing at first. And it's like, I don't know if I want to get in the driverless car or whatever. And it helps me contextualize it and feel good about it too. So Nadia and Kim, thank you so much for joining this episode of Sparking Innovation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nadia.
If you work for a nonprofit or a state or local government and are interested in how Provisio can help your organization become more efficient and effective through legacy modernization, perhaps, contact us at provisiopartners.com. A link to our website is in the show description. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast to catch the very next episode of Sparking Innovation. Thank you for listening.